Hello everyone. I hope you're having an amazing day. Today, we'll dive into a touching story about love, sacrifice, and quiet strength. The journey of Diep and Huyen, a couple living a simple life filled with unspoken emotions. We'll witness their everyday struggles, the tenderness in their small moments, and the bittersweet farewell that reminds us how fragile and beautiful love can be. From the warmth of their home to the sound of the hammer by the pond, every scene tells a story of hope and devotion. If you enjoy this video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you won't miss the next chapters of this heartfelt series. That day, a storm poured down on the village, the sky turning gloomy, floodwaters sweeping across the fields, carrying away the hopes of a bountiful harvest. In a small house, Diep stood before a mirror, packing clothes into a bag. He looked at his reflection, his eyes filled with worry. The sound of rain pounding on the tin roof was relentless, like the rapid beating of his heart. A trip to the south awaited. The truck was soon to be collected, but his heart felt heavy thinking of Huyen and little Maya. 5 days, that's all, he told himself, trying to calm his nerves. Outside the porch, his grandmother, her hair streaked with silver, stood watching, her voice low. "Diep, where are you going, child?" He turned, offering a faint smile. "I'm going south to pick up the truck, Grandma." That smile was strained, for his heart wasn't fully at ease. He knew he had to stop by Huyen's house before catching the afternoon bus. The rain continued to fall, each drop seeming to urge him to stay. He pictured Huyen's house, with little Maya playing innocently and Huyen likely struggling with her work. He sighed, a pang of pain crossing his chest as he thought of the rising floodwaters that could threaten them. Checking his bag, he confirmed the documents were in order. His grandmother's voice echoed again. "Be careful, Diep." He nodded, but his mind was elsewhere, on Huyen and Maya, the ones he wanted to protect. Outside, the rain was like a warning. Time waits for no one. He stepped out, his only thought to reach Huyen's house, to ensure everything was all right before leaving. Huyen's house appeared amidst the green rice fields. Simple, yet warm. It was a small haven filled with human connection. Diep stepped inside, calling out, "Bibi, feeling cool today, huh?" The little dog raised its head, eyes sparkling, tail wagging eagerly. Diep crouched down, petting it. "Huyen's got you keeping the place clean, doesn't she?" He looked around, noticing the fence by the pond still unfinished, a flicker of worry crossing his mind. What if Maya played nearby and slipped? The distant sound of rain persisted, like a warning of unseen dangers. "Look after Huyen and Maya, all right, Bibi?" he said, pouring water into its bowl. Bibi licked it gently, then pressed close to him, tail wagging softly. Diep smiled, but his eyes held a trace of sadness. He thought of Huyen, her work with Tamarind, and Maya, probably at school. Looking at the incomplete fence, he saw it as an unhealed wound in his heart. "I have to fix it before I go," he muttered, touching the wooden boards by the pond. Time was slipping away. The bus wouldn't wait. But Diep couldn't leave until he was sure Maya was safe. He stood, determined to get to work, as if only by protecting them could he find peace. Bibi raised its head, as if understanding, its tail wagging gently as the rain continued to fall. Amid the village's quiet after the rain, Huyen sat under a tree, her hands swiftly cleaning tamarind fruit. Sunlight filtered through the leaves, illuminating her face, sweat beading on her skin. "The tamarind's just picked. I need to work fast," she murmured, her voice steady and resolute. The pot of water simmered, steam rising and blending into the humid air. Huyen thought of Maya, of the long road to school, of the days spent struggling to provide for her daughter's education. Her hands never stopped, moving boiled tamarind to the drying rack, the scent of ripened fruit filling the air, but not easing the worry in her heart. She glanced toward the distance, toward the small house where Maya waited, knowing Dee was about to leave, his absence stirring unease in her. Despite the grueling work, she thought of tonight's dinner, wanting to cook something special for Dee before he boarded the bus. The sound of birds chirping faintly reached her, but her heart wasn't at peace. She reminded herself to stay strong, for Maya and for herself. This work was their livelihood, their hope to overcome hardship. Wiping sweat from her brow, her eyes flashed with determination, but beneath it lay the loneliness of a single mother. Amid the sounds of tamarind drying, she pressed on. This was her life. Meanwhile, at the misty end of an alley, a strange man appeared. He rode a motorbike slowly, his eyes sharp. "Huyen's house is around here," he muttered, his voice rough. In his 50s, with graying hair, he moved slowly but steadily. At the gate, he met one of Huyen's friends and asked, "Is this Huyen's house?" The friend nodded, inviting him in and offering water. He said he was a former neighbor, gone for years working far away, now back to visit Huyen and Maya. He placed a bag of gifts on the table, milk and fruit for Maya, his eyes gleaming with care and curiosity. "How's Huyen doing?" he asked, his voice low. The friend said Huyen rarely spoke of the past, focused only on raising her daughter. The man fell silent, not giving his name, only saying, "Tell Huyen an old neighbor stopped by." As he left, he glanced back at the house, his eyes tinged with sorrow, as if carrying an unspoken secret. The alley returned to its quiet, but his visit left a lingering question. Who was he? Why did he care about Huyen and Maya? The mystery hung in the air, like the mist still clinging to the small house. By the pond, Dee worked diligently, hammering wooden planks into the fence. Sweat dripped down his forehead, his hands steady, but his eyes burning with determination. The rhythmic sound of the hammer drowned out the wind rustling through the rice fields. In his mind was only the image of little Maya, her small steps at risk of slipping near the pond. "I have to finish this before I go," he reminded himself, gripping the nails tightly. Before he could think further, Huyen returned. Her work clothes were stained from a day of handling tamarind, but her smile remained warm. Seeing the nearly completed fence, she let out a soft sigh of relief and went to the kitchen. Moments later, the savory aroma of braised fish filled the house. "Eat well, or you'll go hungry on the bus," she said, setting a plate of food before him. Day smiled, but his heart was heavy. The trip to the south loomed closer, yet he wasn't fully at ease about Huyen and Maya. Huyen spoke of her work, of Maya, her voice warm but tinged with worry. Day listened, nodding occasionally, his gaze drifting to the pond outside. Before eating, he went to check the pond's gate one last time, ensuring it was secure. The two sat at a simple meal, the late afternoon light streaming through the window, as if trying to hold on to the moment a little longer. Soft laughter, the gentle clink of chopsticks, and occasional silences filled with meaning. Huyen tapped his shoulder, handing him a small bag of oranges. "Take these for the road," she said. He refused, but her eyes were insistent. He gave a faint smile, knowing she was sending a piece of her care, a quiet gesture of affection. Their bond wasn't loud or full of promises, just small, sincere actions, like the fence day had just finished, sturdy, unassuming, but protective. That evening, Huyen sat at the table, her eyes distant, holding a cup of water while her thoughts wandered. Her friend told her about the strange man who had visited. He was about 50, brought gifts for Maya, said he was an old neighbor, but didn't give his name. The friend recounted. Huyen squinted, trying to recall. Memories of her years living with her in-laws flooded back. Days confined by work, forbidden from speaking to others, only toiling and serving. What neighbor would be gone so long, she wondered, her voice laced with doubt. The past was like a fog, impossible to grasp. She looked at the gifts, milk, fruit, feeling both grateful and uneasy. Who would bring gifts for Maya, she whispered, her hand tightening around the cup. Outside, Day was fixing the pond's gate, overhearing her. He stepped inside, seeing her troubled face. "It'll become clear in time," he said, his voice calm. Huyen nodded, but her eyes remained adrift. She stood, heading to the kitchen to prepare dinner for him, trying to shake off the unease. The sound of chopping vegetables rang out steadily, like the rhythm of her heart, resilient yet fragile. Who was that man? A piece of the past, or just a passerby? Huyen didn't know. She only knew that since his visit, a chill seemed to linger around the house. The mystery was silent but persistent, like the shadow of old stories, yet to fade. That evening, the sky turned crimson, the road to the bus station dusty and hazy. The sunset blazed like a fiery cloth across the sky. Huyen walked beside Diep, carrying the small bag of oranges, her voice tinged with worry. "Eat properly. Don't go hungry." Diep smiled, his voice soft, but his eyes carried the weight of parting. They stopped at the crossroads, the bus waiting ahead. "Lock the gate tight," Diep said, looking deeply into her eyes. Huyen nodded, her smile forced, her heart hollow. "Maya keeps talking about you," she said, her voice trembling. Diep reached out, taking her hand in a brief, warm grip, as if pouring all his comfort and love into it. "I'll be back soon with the truck, and I'll take Maya out to play," he promised. Huyen gave a faint smile, but her heart felt like a still pond, calm on the surface but rippling beneath. The bus roared to life, and Diep stepped aboard, turning to wave. Huyen stood there, watching the bus disappear down the dirt road, her figure small amidst the vast fields. She thought of Maya, of the house now safer thanks to Diep, but emptier without him. Bibi was probably waiting at home, wagging its tail by the door. Huyen turned back, her steps slow. She carried the hope that Diep would return safely, and soon. The road fell silent, only the wind whispering through the fields, like a quiet promise yet to take shape. The sun sank, darkness creeping in, but in Huyen's heart, a small spark of light remained, a belief that one day, Da's laughter would fill the little house again, where love still lingered, untouched. This story follows Dae and Huyen, a couple living a quiet life in a small countryside home. Their days are simple, yet filled with tenderness. Huyen cares for their daughter Maya, while Dae repairs the fence and prepares for a long journey ahead.
lẽ chăm
Amid
sóc
familiar
cô và con
scenes,
cô tại trang
small
trại ấm êm
gestures
của anh.
reveal deep
Nhưng
love
cảm giác
and
bình yên
devotion.
mong manh của cô vỡ tan khi
As
cô
Dieu
phát hiện
departs,
một xét nghiệm DNA
Huyen
cực
watches
tín
him
tiết
leave,
lộ rằng cô không có
her
quan hệ
heart
huyết thống
heavy
với
with
Johnny,
longing and
không thể
worry.
liên lạc với
A
Alex
mysterious
và đối mặt
man
với
later
sự phán xét
appears,
lạnh lùng từ chị gái anh.
bringing hints of
Sử
the
La cảm thấy
past
mình không có
and
chỗ trong cuộc sống
unsettling
của
her
anh.
thoughts.
Cô viết cho anh
The
nhật ký
story
chia tay đầy
ends
cảm
with
xúc,
Huyen
để
standing
lại chiếc
alone
điện
under
thoại
the
tặng
fading
anh
sunset,
và
holding
lên
on
đường
to a
trong đêm
fragile
cùng
hope
con, quyết tâm
that day will
không trở thành
return
gánh nặng.
safely.
Alex trở về
Despite
nhà và phát hiện
distance
cô đã rời
and
đi.
uncertainty,
Nhận ra đã quá
the
muộn
warmth
rằng
of
anh
their
yêu cô
love
sâu đậm từ cơn
remains,
mưa anh tuyệt vọng tìm kiếm.
a
Trong khi
quiet
Tử La
reminder
trú ẩn
of
tại một
how
ngôi nhà hoang
powerful
ôm
the
chặt lấy con và
simplest
báo nghĩa gọi
emotions
nhìn.
can be.